And marker. What's up, guys? BHG TrekFan88 here. It is April 15th, 2012. It is now 9 o'clock. And I have just gotten back from my 3D, 3D IMAX screening of Titanic. On the 100th anniversary of the ship sinking, I might add, which did add a little bit more emotion while watching the film, especially last night when I watched it at home here and timed the sinking to the actual ship. But we're not here to talk about that, we're here to talk about the movie in 3D, and let me tell you, holy shit, this movie is amazing on the big screen. Obviously I watched it last night, and I've seen it many times at my house, on my home theater system, but I had forgotten what this movie is like on the big screen when it came to sound. Good God, I'm still a little deaf, and the person I went with probably agrees with me. I don't know if it was just our theater being turned up a little bit too loud. I'm not going to say that it was too loud. It was just, like, even people when they were talking every now and then, it was like, is this the right volume? Which is fine with me. I love going deaf. I mean, I play my shit loud all the time. But anyway, seeing it in IMAX on the big screen, it really gives you a sense of scale to how massive this ship really was. I mean, when you watch it at home on a TV, you know, mine's 40 inches, or if you have a 60 inch, I don't care. When you watch this movie on the big screen, you will go, holy crap, or wow, you know, any adjective you can think of. Excuse me, sorry about that, I'll hopefully mute that. The big question that everybody had, or has, before you've seen the movie, is, was the 3D worth it? Because there was a lot of nitpicking about this film before it was released, about, oh, you know, it's 3D post-conversion, it's not going to look that good. Well, I'll tell you what, this movie rocked in 3D. It's not Michael Bay Transformers 3D. Please get that out of your head right now, because I had so many people on forums and stuff talking about how they can't wait to see shit pop out at you. What's there to pop out at you? It's not an action science fiction movie. The way that Cameron did the 3D in this movie, I find very unique, and I think it was the perfect way to do it, and it was probably the only way to do it. It was a very subtle, yet obvious, I know that doesn't make sense, 3D. It used a lot of depth of field. To be quite honest, and I hate saying this myself because I've always disliked people who say this about other 3D movies, the way that the 3D was done, it really made you feel like you were there. I guess the best example I could use is two scenes from the movie. One is the infamous dinner scene where Jack is being questioned by Rose's bitch of a mom, who you hate more than ever in this movie when you see it with an audience. But the way that he had people focused and out of focus and, you know, in front of you or in front of the person, and it really made you feel like you were maybe not necessarily sitting at the table, but you were really involved in this movie. It was a great sense of depth of field. Of course, using the 3D to his advantage when it came to displaying or showing off the ship itself, whether it's the, you know, my favorite shots of the ship, of panning to the ship as it goes by, or anything else like that. It was really impressive 3D work. Maybe there was like one or two scenes where you can kind of tell that it was done after the fact, mainly because when you watch this on such a big screen like IMAX, you noticed like when, not huge things, but when like somebody's hand was moving, like even on my webcam you see how it's kind of flickery. I'm not going to say it was flickery. I mean, most people won't even notice this, but me paying attention and wanting to see how the 3D is, I kind of picked up on that on maybe one or two occasions. Other than that, the 3D in this movie was perfect as far as I'm concerned. He went back and remastered a few bits of the film to make it not updated, but fixed, if you will. For instance, the infamous porthole problem with Jack being handcuffed to a pipe. The porthole was supposed to be underwater in one scene, and you can clearly tell that at the very top of the porthole, the fish tank or whatever it was holding the water outside, because obviously they weren't really underwater, wasn't completely 100% filled. So that, and the night sky after the ship sank, when Rose is on her back on the door floating in the water, they fixed the Milky Way or whatever astrological body it's supposed to be, so it looks really cool. It looks like something you would see when you look up, not some effect like it did in the previous version. Sound design blew me away. As you all know from watching my previous videos, I have a really good sound system, and I know what I'm talking about when it comes to what I think is great sound, and I'm still deaf, like I said before. If you know James Horner's score, the sound effects, the eeriness of the ship when Rose goes to look for Jack, and the lights are flickering and the ship is creaking and moaning. I've always noticed that, but when you hear it on a 12,000 watt home theater system, fuck that. I would not be where she was going. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was scary to me. You know, some people probably were scared, but I was sitting there going, fuck that. I mean, it's really one of those things where if you know what I'm talking about, well, you know what I'm talking about. The ambient sound effects of the engines, when the ship is sinking, the passengers running around, you know, deck chairs being thrown in the water, people when they're running on deck, the sound effects of their feet hitting the deck. There really isn't one thing I can talk about in this in this video. I mean, I could talk about this forever. But the big thing about the 3D, in my opinion, it does hold up. Jim Cameron and his crew, whoever you are, excuse me, did an excellent job at the post-conversion for this film. In fact, I've seen a lot of films in post-product 3D or post-production 3D. I think this is probably the best example, and rightfully so. There really isn't another film that can stand up to this. I mean, there literally wasn't one time when I went, oh, that looks like shit, or that could have been done better, except that, again, that one thing with the hand. But no offense, but most of you audience members wouldn't notice that. The other thing, too, is seeing this movie, again, on the anniversary of the ship sinking, not necessarily exactly timed, but seeing it on the big screen with an audience on this day today was really humbling to me. You know, it's a movie, it's entertainment, it's technically fiction, but it's one of those things where history is being replicated in front of me on a screen, and people who are sitting around me are just as emotional, if not more emotional, than I was. I didn't cry. You know, there are a couple moments where I was watching the events happen on screen in front of me, and I couldn't help but say, wow, you know, I mean, shit. I mean, when you watch this any other time, it's just a movie that you know is based off real events. But when you really sit down and think about it, you know, I'm not going to talk about it, but I think you know what I'm getting at. The one problem that I found is that it almost makes you wish they could go back and redo a couple of scenes for today's technology when it comes to using 3D, but it really doesn't matter. This film, it's not the kind of movie that would benefit from that, so I think it's honestly fine the way it is. I'm starting to ramble here, and it's 9 minutes into the video, and there's a lot more I want to talk about, but I think it's already been said. There's a lot of great reviews out there. Just type in Titanic 3D review, and their vocabulary and their writing style is much better than mine. Again, I'm not scripted here, I'm just talking. But Titanic 3D did not disappoint at all. It was an amazing film to watch on the really, really big screen with a kick-ass sound system with an audience. If you can, go see this movie with an audience in theaters if you can before it leaves. I don't think it'll be in the theaters much after this week. But who knows? I mean, Titanic was #1 for 15 consecutive weeks at the box office, so maybe they'll leave it in there, try and make more money. But go see this movie, and you'll appreciate the movie a lot more, especially the work that, again, I can't stress this enough, again, the time that they put in, the set design, the props, the costumes. I mean, there isn't one frame of this movie that isn't interesting, that isn't fun to look at. There's always something interesting, cool, maybe even funny, beautiful. I love watching this movie. I could watch this movie many times over just to try and see new things. I think the best example would have to be the whole dinner sequence when, you know, Jack meets Rose at the staircase, and then the whole dinner. I mean, the detail and everything, it just blows my mind. But again, I've already talked about that. This video has run longer than I wanted to. Bottom line, final verdict, whatever, thumbs up, thumbs down, it's thumbs up. That's trademark, so hope I don't get sued. The movie is amazing, and I think that they did a great job. So this is BSG Trek Fan 88. Go see the movie, and have a good night.